Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine 18 Tarot and Books. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. In this video, I will be sharing the books that I plan to read in April 2024. I'm really excited about my list of books for the month. For April, I am not participating in any particular readathons, so I chose instead, based on a couple of other criteria, for starters, I have tried to fill my TBR with books that I own in hard copy that I haven't read yet. In my house, all of my unread books live in one corner of my living room on the end table. And when that pile starts to look a little bit precarious, or the table looks like it might be struggling a little bit, I do try to prioritize reading those books, and the stack has gotten significant enough that it felt like a good time to read some hard copy books. So I have done that this month. The exceptions are a couple of books that I'm reading as read-alongs or with book clubs with other folks. For those, I imagine I will probably get ebooks because they're not books that I already own. So I have 2,599 pages worth of books on this list. For reasons that will become apparent as I talk about the books, I don't quite expect to read exactly that number of pages this month. Some of the books will overlap other months. So without further ado, the first book I'm adding to my April TBR is one that was on my March TBR, but I am not going to be done. And that book is Red Tarot, A Decolonial Guide to Divinatory Literacy by Christopher Marmolejo. This is published by North Atlantic Books, and I talk about it in some detail in my March TBR video, so I won't repeat the details here. Uh, Suffice to say, I'm not finished. I had received a ebook copy of this from the publisher for review ahead of its publication, and I started reading it, and I quickly knew that I wanted a physical copy of this book for my shelf. I really like the beginning parts of the book that I did read in that electronic review copy. And for a book like this, I really prefer to be able to make some notes in the margins to underline things. And so I pre-ordered this copy, which was released on March 5th, which is my birthday. And it was late coming to me. So I just haven't had it long enough to read it in March. It's a fairly theoretically dense book, I would say. It's not a quick read by any means. It is quite large. It's 437 pages. So this will be more of an April read for me. And I'm really looking forward to this. I think, the first couple of chapters that I've gone through are really interesting. And I think that this will be a fantastic read. So that is on my April list, carrying forward from March. Another divinatory related book that I have on my April TBR is Cartomancy and Folk Witchcraft, Playing Cards, and Marseille Tarot in Divination, Magic, and Lore by Roger J. Horne. I've never read any Roger J. Horne before. I've certainly heard of him. He's written a number of books. This one has been chosen as something to read in a group in Tegan, Cosmic Creeper here on YouTube's Patreon and Discord server. So a number of folks have already started this. I am behind because I haven't started yet. A plan has been made to read this over the course of several months together, and it started this month in March, but I wanted to finish some of the other things I had on the go before starting this, so I'm treating this as an April book. I am not so good at dragging out books across multiple months. This is quite a short book. It's 212 pages total. I suspect what will happen is I will end up reading the whole thing in April and then discussing it throughout May and June, which the group is going to be reading this across those months as well. I don't tend to prefer with a book like this to be kind of picking it up and putting it down with weeks in between, so I will probably read it through and then use it as more of a reference for the rest of the book club time. And so a little bit about this The introductory sentence just reads, "In this new and vastly expanded edition, Cartomancy and Folk Witchcraft offers readers a well-sourced and practical guide to the witches' card-based arts, unifying the realms of Marseille tarot and playing card divination and magic." So the table of contents includes an introduction, understanding the cards, reflecting on the Marseille trumps, reading the cards, conjuring the cards, and an addendum called the Game of Fortuna. There is a fairly substantial bibliography in this book, which of course caught my eye, so I'm really looking forward to discussing this book with others in the Discord. Let me know if you've read this book and what you thought about it. Next up, I have a sequel, a much anticipated sequel. I thought I would have read this sooner, but I was in a bookstore and I picked up a copy finally, and so it's definitely going on my April to read. And that is Moon of the Turning Leaves by Waubgeshig Rice. This is a sequel to Moon of the Crusted Snow, a novel that I really, really liked. And rather than sum up Moon of the Crusted Snow, I'll just read the first couple of lines from the description of this book, because since it's a sequel, it does give a sense of what that first book was about. In the years since a mysterious cataclysm caused a permanent blackout that toppled infrastructure and thrust the world into anarchy, Evan Whitesky has led his community in remote northern Canada off the res and into the bush, where they've been rekindling their Anishinaabeg traditions, isolated from the outside world. As new generations are born and others come of age in a world after everything, Evan's people are stronger than ever. Resources around their new settlement are drying up, and elders warn that they cannot stay indefinitely. And then it goes on to give more of the plot. And this, I'm really excited because Moon of the Crusted Snow was really, really good. So it covers that cataclysm and blackout mentioned in the first sentence describing this book. It is a good novel to read in the winter time because Moon of the Crusted Snow, of course, is set in a very cold winter, and the fact that it is so cold when power and other utilities go down is really relevant to the kind of atmospheric writing in the book. Really, really good. So I'm really looking forward to this. If you loved Moon of the Crusted Snow as much as I did, let me know because it is a fantastic novel. And if you haven't read it, definitely pick up Moon of the Crusted Snow. It's a lot shorter than this one, actually. I feel like this one must be maybe 100 pages longer just based on the book. Now, the next one that I found for my April TBR is a book called Sweep of Stars by Maurice Broaddus. And this one kind of been on my radar as one that I was interested in. It is an Afrofuturist book set in space on a series, I think, of stations and different settlements and things. And it is the first book in a series. And I happened upon this nice hard copy in the sale shelf at the bookstore, and so I picked it up. This one I have not, I don't think, read Maurice Broaddus in long form. I believe I have read a short story or two of his in some different anthologies, but I'm really excited to read this one. And it is, from what I know, a multi-POV with multiple POV structures in terms of kind of first person, third person, maybe even second person, which is not my favorite, but some authors do really well. And I'm hopeful that I will really like this because, if I really like this, there's more books in the series. So, very good. The Publisher's Weekly blurb on the back of the book reads, "This powerful, sweeping Afrofuturist space opera introduces Muungano, a cooperative society of Pan-African people stretching through the solar system. Broaddus draws a direct line in global Black history from the kingdoms of pre-colonial Africa through the American Civil Rights Movement and into an imagined future, making this a hugely ambitious and notable work of post-colonial science fiction. This takes the genre in an exciting and challenging direction." So I know that kind of structurally, in terms of the multi-perspective and things like this has a lot of features that I look for in a book. So I'm excited to read this one. Next up, I have a short speculative novel, and this one is called Tauhu, and it is by Kotoku Titihuya Natal. And the author of this book is of Maori and Coast Salish descent. And this novel, or some people describe it as a novel, it's called a novel right on the cover. I've read reviews that describe it as kind of a series of really deeply interconnected short fiction as well. This book blends the author's Maori and Coast Salish heritages, and the inner cover book description notes that this innovative hybrid novel envisions a shared past between two Indigenous cultures set on reimagined versions of Vancouver Island and Aotearoa, New Zealand, that sit side by side in the ocean. Each chapter is a fable, an autobiographical memory, a poem. And this book was not on my radar at all until a friend of mine visited, and she had been reading this book on her travels coming to visit Ontario and decided to leave it here so that I could read it next. So it's not one that I know a ton about, but I'm excited to check this out. I watched an interview or kind of discussion with the author on YouTube and was enjoying that. So I'm looking forward to this book as well. And now for some nonfiction, I have the Feminist Killjoy Handbook, The Radical Potential of Getting in the Way by Sarah Ahmed. Sarah Ahmed is an author who I love. I love Sarah Ahmed's work. I've read quite a lot of it. This book came out in, I think, very late 2023. And of course, I had to pick up a copy. So the feminist killjoy is a idea that is discussed by Sarah Ahmed in her other work, including in Living a Feminist Life, one of my favorite feminist texts of all time. And, just to give an idea, the book jacket reads, "Do you refuse to laugh at offensive jokes? Have you ever been accused of ruining a dinner by calling out a sexist or racist comment? Are you often told to stop being so woke? If so, you might be a feminist killjoy, and this handbook is for you." In this book, feminist theorist Sarah Ahmed shows how killing joy can be a radical world-making project. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to share my thoughts on this one. I have strong 5-star predictions, I will say, for a number of books on this April list, based on having read the authors before, or for Moon of the Turning Leaves, it being a sequel to a book that was very much a 5-star read for me. The beginnings of Red Tarot are telling me 5-star review. I'm very excited about this list of books. So the last physical copy book that I have on my list for this month is Queer Palestine and the Empire of Critique by Syed Atshan. And this is a book that has been published for a number of years now. It was published in 2020 by Stanford University Press. So this is a scholarly book. And the back of the description notes that with this book, the author asks how transnational social movements can balance their work for liberation along more than one axis. He explores critical junctures in the history of Palestinian LGBTQ activism, revealing the queer Palestinian spirit of agency, defiance, and creativity in the face of daunting pressures and forces working to constrict it. And he's the author of, sorry, the snowplow just went by and honked really loudly. Everybody probably heard that. The author is the author of a number of other books. I haven't read anything from this author before, but I'm very much looking forward to learning and reading this one. From what I know of the author, he is a queer Palestinian American author who is also a Quaker, and I'm keen to read his analysis in this book. The the snowplow keeps honking. I'm not sure why it needs to honk, but it's there. We got a lot of snow last night. Now, I have two more books to talk about, which I do not have in hard copy. I'm not sure if I'm going to get them in hard copy or go ebook. It'll probably be ebook. And these are, book club or readathon, read along rather, books. So the first is an anthology called Beyond Survival: Strategies and Stories from the Transformative Justice Movement. And I will put a picture up here of the books that I don't have to show you. And Beyond Survival is, of course, as the subtitle suggests, focused on the transformative justice movement and organizing around, developing mechanisms for community accountability and safety outside of state, court, and prison industrial complex contexts. I have read work by some authors and editors associated with this book before. I'm really looking forward to this, and we're reading it in Katie Flowers' Blossom Book Club for April. So I'm looking forward to discussing that with the other folks in the book club. We have some great chats, and I really like when we read these kinds of nonfiction that are really good, kind of fruit for interesting discussion. So I'm looking forward to that. And finally, I am also going to be reading Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. And this is a read along with three girls. If you're here on my channel, you know three girls, Sunset Bow, Peekaboo Rose, and Heather. They are going to be doing a read along with this book. And I have never read any T. Kingfisher before. Nettle and Bone did just win a Hugo, so I have optimistic hopes for liking it, and I'm really excited that three girls are doing a read along. Like, I'm a big Three Girls fan, so I will definitely be there for the discussion, having read the book, and look forward to that. So that is my April book list. Let me know in the comments if you have anything picked out for April, if you're planning your reading ahead a little bit as I do. And again, if you've read any of these books and have thoughts, I would love to hear those thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.